justice. The U.S. war machine has engaged in illegal killings of thousands of people across the Middle East. And there is no justice for victims, just as there is no justice at home. In 2019 alone, there were over 100 extrajudicial killings of civilians by police. And as we all know too well, with the activism to stop the inhumanity at the Cuyahoga County jail system, countless more black and brown people are imprisoned and die behind bars without recourse as well. Both domestically and internationally, the U.S. kills innocent people at will. While the White House, the DOD, and our media try to portray war as Americans versus Iraqis, Iranians, Syrians, insert country here, the real truth is more simple. We have more in common with working class people around the world. Everybody who needs to put food on their table and to take care of their families than those at the upper echelons of society. Working class people around the world are fighting the same struggle against those who profit off of poverty, racism, environmental degradation, and of course, the violence and inhumanity of war. To them, human rights mean nothing. The only thing that matters is the profit motive. Is it really such a surprise that after the airstrike that killed General Soleimani, a clear act of war, that oil prices increased by 4%? It is important to remember that imperialism is a problem that will outlive Trump, just as it has previous administrations and Congresses. When our political institutions fail us, especially in the face of so much inhumanity, it's easy to despair. I can certainly resonate with the feeling of hopelessness. So, what can we do, comrades? Here are 3 suggestions. 1, keep showing up to demonstrations like the one we're at today. Your presence is needed now, more than ever, to show your loved ones, and even strangers on the street, that the anti-war and anti-imperialist movement is as strong as ever in the United States. 2, support organizations that are doing the work, like Answer Coalition, Code Pink, the Peace Coalition, and of course, the PSL. While I'm up here, I'd like to plug an event that the PSL is hosting on January 26th at the CCPC office about U.S. imperialism in Latin America. If you are interested in learning more about imperialism or about the event, connect with me afterwards. The point is, support the struggle. 3, educate yourself and agitate those around you. It's not enough to just discuss these prickly issues. It's also important to break down the falsehoods our government and media try to sell us as fact. You and I may know that it's complete bogus, but do your friends? Do your family? Do the people you organize with? Anti-imperialist and anti-war organizing will get scary in the upcoming months. People will call you an anti-American. They may even call you pro-terrorism, ridiculously enough, for saying no to war. But for anyone who remembers, they said the same thing about protesting the Iraq War, the Gulf War, and every damn war before then. It's the same story and the same tactics. They want you to be too scared to speak and too scared to stand up for the right thing. I have faith that as scary as it gets, everybody here will rise to the occasion. That is why it's important now, more than ever, to stand with your comrades, not just at home, but abroad. We're not in this alone, guys. The alternative is to descend into an increasingly barbarous system. I urge comrades to remember that when we stand together, we have a world to win. Okay, so I'm going to lead us in a chant. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist wars. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing. Stop the hate. Does everybody get that? 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist wars. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing. Stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop the killing. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing. Stop the hate.
1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing. Stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing. Stop the hate. 2, 3, 4.
We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing.
7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate.
1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Stop the killing, stop the hate.
1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2,
Hello, thank you.
4. We
Don't want your racist war.
5,
6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate.
1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5,
6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. Thank you. Our next speaker today is Elias Kawam from MENA, the Middle East North Africa student group at Cleveland State University. Thank you, Elias.
Excuse my cold, everybody. This is the season right now where everyone's getting sick. But dear friends, let's first and foremost be mindful that when we speak of Iran and the Iranian people, we are talking about human beings who, like us, want to be free from the threat of attack, free from the constraints imposed by despotic leaders, and free to achieve self-determination. The brunt of these attacks and the weight of the throes of war is largely experienced by the people and not the leaders to these conflicts. Ultimately, it is civilians who suffer. Yes. So when we speak about Iran, we must guard against ethnocentric tropes and remember that when we are speaking about people, don't fall victim to the narrative that anyone who criticizes the U.S. or stands in solidarity against aggression of war is siding with the enemy, or who themselves are an enemy of the United States. This is all propaganda contrived by despotic leaders and promoted by nationalists who have no regard for human lives abroad. The designation of patriots who are critical of warmongering and advocates of peace is akin to McCarthyism. And the policies that led us to this conflict when we waged an illegitimate war in Iraq. Now there's a couple questions that we're going to ask ourselves here. What is this administration trying to achieve with these attacks? Is it making America safer?
No!
Securing American lives from violence?
No!
Even making America great?
No!
The people of this country refuse to equate war with excellence. If we fail to leave this war hawk attitude in the post-colonial era in Iraq, we are certainly leaving that shit in 2019. The fact of the matter is that the airstrikes on Qasem Soleimani do not make America safer. The strikes are an outright aggression of war that does not do nothing but jeopardize the safety of Americans and the people in the Middle East. The youth specifically recognize this act for what it is. An attempt by the old colonialist regime of Americans to return to a national identity that is complicit to waging imperialist campaigns to secure American interests. That is not our America. We refuse to call this act anything but what it is, a provocation of war. Trump is a hypocrite, a coward, a warmonger, and is even incompetent to flush his own toilet. 10 times. I think it was 10 times. Let alone run this country. Let this be the most important lesson from the past 3 years. This man and the people he surrounds himself with are liars. He lies every single day. The facts surrounding this conflict are important, and we must adamantly demand the truth. Do not take anything this administration says at face value. Be wary of how the media portrays brown faces. Be as critical as we wish we could have been before the military state devastated the Iraqi people and resulted in deaths of hundreds of thousands of civilians. And some estimates suggest that it was upwards of 1 million. We are here as advocates of peace, because we would hope that if we weren't in the position of strength that we are currently in, that the world wouldn't look at our people, civilians, as lives incidental to war. We refuse to support an administration that bullies the rest of the world. Now, I am not defending General Soleimani's actions, whatever they may be, but the United States, as a world leader, has certain obligations. And one of them is starting wars, and to be transparent with its own citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Elias. That was good words. Appreciate it. I didn't know about that toilet incident. When I saw that, I go, oh, you can't say that. The toilet thing, I didn't know about that. Hey, we are people. We want peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
We are people. We want peace. U.S. out of the Middle East. We are people. We want peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
We are people. We want peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
Our next speaker is Martha Gobet. She's been in the trenches with us for a few years, and thankfully she retired from her job with Chrysler, and now she's going to be in the trenches with us a little more here in Cleveland. In any case, she is with the Workers' World Party, and here she is. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, Don, and thank you, everyone, for coming out on this miserable day. We are not by ourselves. We are here along with people all over the country who have come out today, people all over the world who are demonstrating solidarity with the people of Iraq, the people of Iran, the people of Syria, Palestine, Yemen, people all over the world who are under attack by U.S. imperialism, of which Trump is just the current leader. But it is not just Trump's war. It is a war for capitalism, for big oil, for the banks, for the millionaires and billionaires, who we have to take out, all of them. We are so heartened to see so many organizations that have joined together today in calling for mass demonstrations to say no war against Iraq, no war against Iran. We want money for people here, to put people to work at good-paying union jobs, not minimum wage slave jobs. We want to stop, as another speaker mentioned, the inhumanity at the jail, but we want to stop poverty and oppression and all the conditions of racism and xenophobia that have created the crisis of mass incarceration to begin with. These struggles are all linked together. They are all struggles against an economic system that puts profit before people over and over again. We condemn the bipartisan giveaway of almost $750 billion to the Pentagon. That was bipartisan. Both parties are war parties, and we say no to imperialist war, imperialist aggression. We say no to sanctions, this modern, despicable, low-budget form of warfare that dozens of countries are subjected to sanctions by the U.S., by the UN, by other countries, and this is starvation and economic sabotage, and millions have died over the past few decades from sanctions. And along with the International Action Center and many other organizations, Workers' World Party has helped to launch the Sanctions Kill campaign, and our first mass action will be a national day. National days of protest, March 14th and 15th, to say sanctions kill, stop the sanctions. The sanctions against Iraq that preceded the 2003 launching of the war in Iraq, these sanctions killed 1 million people, and Secretary of State at the time, Madeleine Albright, said, well, it's a high price to pay, but we think it's worth it. In other words, it was worth it because Iraq became so weakened that it could then not withstand the imperialist military assault. We'd say Iraq for the Iraqi people, Iran for the Iranian people, Syria for the Syrian people, Palestine for the Palestinian people, U.S. out of the Middle East. We think it's pretty obvious how the Iraqi people feel about the U.S. aggression, because thousands of people, protesters, entered the green zone and entered the embassy and trashed it rightfully with no resistance even from the Iraqi troops who were assigned to guard this occupation headquarters. And we salute the resistance in Iraq and all over the world, and we will continue until we smash imperialism. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. So some of our next steps after today would be to call Congress for those of you who haven't, or you can always call them again. Call the senators, call your representatives, say no to an escalation to war in Iran, no more attacks in Syria or Iraq or Lebanon or the Middle East. Let's all agree to do that. That would be great. I also want to ask if a representative from Code Pink is here, and she could come forward if she's here. Tony, Rosie Hagee. Other than that, oh good, here she comes. Here she comes. Yay, Tony! Thank you for coming out. Did you have a little statement you'd like to make today? Thank you for helping to organize this today.
Hi everybody. I just appreciate everybody being out here. I don't want to preach to the choir, so to speak, because we're all here because we can't stand what's going on in the Middle East 20 years into this, and we're still making provocative acts of the assassination of the Iranian general the other day. We're obviously being baited into war, but Coping's stance is that if you're performing economic sanctions against a country like Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, the list goes on, you're already in economic warfare with that country. So regardless of whether Donald Trump feels that we're at war with Iran, we are causing the death and suffering of millions of people through economic sanctions from the United States government. But there is hope, and I want to ask everybody to go to codepink.org, sign up for their alerts. You will get, we have a lot of work that we do throughout the year in DC. We're in the offices of Congress people. You may have seen some of the more, we make the news when we do something outrageous, like try to make a citizen's arrest of Henry Kissinger, that kind of thing. But if you could please support Code Pink, we are on the ground, we're in the offices of the representatives. We take petitions in, we get signatures, we show up, we disrupt, we make beautiful trouble, and I do travel to DC sometimes. If you want to go to Code Pink Plea on Twitter and send me a message, I'll announce when I'm going to DC. I was just there in front of the Venezuelan embassy when the United States tried to perform a coup in Venezuela and put their own puppet Guaido in place. We held down with many other organizations, the Answer Coalition, the whole of the Venezuelan embassy, which was a success because a lot of people didn't know that the U.S. was having a coup in Venezuela until that act of holding down an embassy. So if you want to go to D.C., we have space for you at the Code Pink House. Get in touch with me. I'd love to make a few more trips this year with people. I put a call out to people to go, and we need bodies in front of congressional representatives to let them know that we see what they're doing, we hold them accountable, and we want peace. Thank you very much.
We want peace. 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 One of the few people in the world who doesn't want peace is the leader of Israel, the Prime Minister Netanyahu. He was the only one. He was the only one that I saw that came forward to congratulate Trump on the assassination of Soleimani in Iraq. He was the only one. So we got to watch that connection with Israel. It seems to be getting us into more trouble all the time. I'd like to call up another speaker, Mr. Kim Hill, who has been in the trenches with us again. He's standing here holding that sign.
Yeah, I can keep this short. I have maybe 2 points to make. From 1965 to 1967, I was teaching in Beirut, Lebanon, and I got to travel throughout the whole region. So Turkey, Syria, a number of times, all through Lebanon, to Baghdad, down to Basra, to Kuwait, and over into Iran. And the message I want to say is before 1967, with the war between Israel and when they took the West Bank with the Palestinians, I was universally in every country met with Muslim and Arab hospitality. They offer you tea, they offer you food, you sit down, and actually we drove across the desert of Syria, sat on the floor of a gas station where no one spoke English except a little broken, and they asked me what I thought of the Vietnam War, and I said that I knew that was wrong, and I think that could be seen as some of this issue that Martha just mentioned. We have one war party, and to reinforce that, we know that John Kerry, Hillary Clinton, Biden, and who am I leaving out? The leader of the minority leader, Schumer, all voted for the Iraq war. So look what our choice is in 2020 for president. And Bernie Sanders is our choice for Tulsa County. So that's that. The second thing I'll be quick with this is, who do you want? Ilhan, yes. That's a breath of fresh air in the Congress. The second thing I'll be short is we have to go back to 1953 when the United States CIA, working with BP and the British, overthrew a democratic elected president, Mossadegh, of Iran and put in the Shah. And then that got us to 1980 when the United States supported giving pesticide precursors from poison gas to Saddam Hussein. Rumsfeld shook hands with Saddam Hussein on camera, and then 1 million Iranians died. And Iranians too. It was a million, I don't know if that includes the total of Iraq. The Iranians died in massive numbers, and they remember that, and there was poison gas provided by the United States. So there's a hell of a lot of hypocrisy. And then we had Iran-Contra Gate, and Reagan was not impeached, and then we come up to the present. So, and if you go and look up Allison Ware and If Americans Knew, there's a thing that Iraq was a war for Israel in 1996. Pearl and Seitz and these guys were the neocons, wrote a policy paper for Netanyahu at that time, which was a new Middle East and all about regime change, and that's been the plan that the United States has followed since then with the overthrows of these governments. They have, Iran's next on the list. So Iran will be a war for Israel if we have it. So I think I'll stop with that. But I met with hospitality from Arab and Muslim people all over the Middle East, and that's where we were, and that's what those people are. They're hospitable, they reached out. I, as an American, they didn't like the Vietnam War, but they accepted me as an American. it would not be possible for Americans to try to travel safely to the Middle East because of our imperialistic, warmongering policy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kim Hill. By the way, there's coffee and snacks over there under the tent. Now look at us, out here in the cold and the rain. Are we not unstoppable? Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. And we shall have it. Yes, yes, yes. Furthermore, get some coffee. I want to thank you for coming out. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have one more speaker come up and make an announcement. If there is another U.S. attack in the Middle East, we will have to mobilize in force. Bring your friends and your families. We will probably rally at the federal building to say no more war. Watch your social feed, and the call will go out if there is another U.S. attack. I want to call up someone from Refuse Fascism, Norm, who's been in the trenches again with me and all of us over the years for so many issues, for justice for Tamir Rice, for justice for no more wars, Tanisha Anderson, and we also abhor Islamophobia and anti-Jewish bigotry. I will say that. Thank you.
Thank you, God, for those kind words. It was something for all of us to live up to be there whenever there is oppression, wherever people are suffering, because we all want a far better world. And for that to happen, we need to get rid of the Trump-Pence fascist administration. I heard last night where Trump was celebrating with his fellow fascists in Florida, and they were talking about the assassination. That's what it is, a cold-blooded assassination of General, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name right, so I'm not, Soleimani, is that correct? General Soleimani, who, imagine what would happen if Iran sent somebody here and executed Mike Pompeo or somebody like that. People say, what right do they have to be in our country? Blah, 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 blah. But we gotta break with this America first, humanity first, not America first. And to make that real, we all need to come together from all different organizations. And Refuse Fascism, to help bring that about, has initiated the Out Now movement, which has one simple demand: out now. Trump and Pence out now. And to make that real, we need the input from everybody, from different organizations, and that's why Refuse Fascism has called for a mass meeting later today, 3 o'clock, at St. Paul's Community Church, 4227 Franklin, and that's at the corner of West 45th. So we invite people from all different organizations to come and be part of planning more and more protests to drive the Trump-Pence regime from power. 4427 Franklin. Thank you.
Thank you, Norm. My friend over here with the sign with the handwriting. Are you Iranian, sir? Iranian American?
I'm an American citizen.
Thank you for coming out today.
Thank you.
Alrighty. I wonder if Sweta is still here. She can help us with the chants. Sweta. Is she still here? Well.
1, 2, 3, 4.
We don't want
your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We don't want your racist war.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your
racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your racist war. 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate.
Okay. Does anybody here speak Spanish? Because this is like my favorite chant of all time.
Spanish speakers.
Okay, I will teach you this very important phrase. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
El pueblo.
Unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Unido jamás será vencido.
El pueblo. Unido.
All right, here's a better one.
Good.
Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today?
Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today?
Hey.
Donald J. How many kids did you kill today? Hey, Donald J.
How many kids did you kill today?
Hey, Donald J. How many kids did you kill today?
All right, are we ready for another one?
What we're fighting for. We won't fight your rich man's war. Peace is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
Peace is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war. This is what we're fighting for. We won't fight your rich man's war.
Okay. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine.
Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine.
Occupation is a crime
From Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine.
Occupation is a crime
From Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime
From Iraq to Palestine.
Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine.
All right. If anybody would like to make a short statement about why you're here today, feel free to come up to the front. We're looking for anybody who feels empowered enough to speak. Okay, come up to the front then. Okay, while we're bringing that out, somebody take on the chant. What was the rich man's war thing again? That was really good.
Fighting for. We won't fight your rich man's war. Peace is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
Peace is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
Peace is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
Peace is what we're fighting for. We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're
Fighting for. We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This is what we're fighting for.
We won't fight your rich man's war.
This Hello, everyone.
I'm thankful to be out here with you guys. My name is Brother Tracy Bush. I am also an individual who is against the negativity that our government is portraying around the world. And what I'd like to let everyone know that I'm also trying to make sure that we end a lot of this, what I call post-government, post-traumatic stress disorder, what is causing the peoples in the nation a lot of pain and anguish. And that is created from the political warfare that's going on in Washington, but it falls out into the spiritual warfare that's happening out here in our society, what creates civil warfare between each other. I would like for anyone that's interested in knowing about a new project that I'm launching, which is titled Ceasefire Project of America, to help stop the killing, to go to my website, boundtoheaven.org, so you can get more information on it, because we can create a more peaceful world if we unify in doing the things that we're doing, such as this. I thank you for your time and listening. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Wayne Lavin. I actually have a doctorate in conflict management, and I have been studying conflict and violence for the entirety of my adult life. But you don't actually have to do what I've done to know that dropping bombs never changes people's minds, and we've never bombed our way to peace. What I can tell you is that 7 years ago today, I was in Iraq, in Kurdistan, and it was beautiful. We've gotten testimony about this earlier, and I can confirm there are humans in the Middle East, and when we drop bombs, we kill them. Women, children, men, dreams, we destroy hope, we destroy opportunity. Now what I've been doing is I've been writing, I've been using my voice like we all are today. The voice is out there. I was sleepless after we made our assassination. I know that this targeted killing is the introduction to World War III. This is real. This is not just some sort of hyperbole. This is how world wars start. Assassinations start war. I was sleepless. I wrote. We need to get rid of Donald Trump, and we need to open a pathway to peace. I write. It's syndicated by Peace Voice. Common Dreams shared this yesterday. 24 hours later, we have over 4,000 shares. People are listening, people are reading, people are believing this is happening. The last thing I want to say is that there are lots of people who will argue that peace, nonviolence, mass action doesn't work, but it does. I have a lifetime of studying this. In fact, it is the only thing that works. So don't give up. Believe in what you're doing. This is what we must do. Our lives collectively hang in the balance. Thank you for being here today.
Don't worry about the banner.
Hi, my name is Rose. I'm from the Democratic Socialists of America.
All right.
And I'm here today because I'm angry that the U.S. government keeps using my health care money to murder brown children.
Wow.
It's terrible. Like my comrade said, it's a rich man's war. I don't want to fucking fight it. I want to spend that money helping my brethren here and globally. Class struggle. No war but class war. Woo! No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war.
No war but class war.
No war but class war.
No war but class war.
No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war. No war but class war. said we're coming out onto the streets. One thing people have been told, especially younger generations, is that mass protest does not work. Well, I'll tell you, nothing we've accomplished has happened without people in the streets. And we need to grow from this to millions and millions of people, because American lives are not worth more than anyone else's lives. Let's be real about that. And also, when they talk about they did this assassination and saved thousands of American lives, this is a government and a country that has massacred and murdered over 1 million people in Iran. So when they talk about the brutal regime of Iran, which it is, this does not compare to the brutality of U.S. imperialism and what it's done to people all around the world. So we can't stop being out in the streets. We've really got to mobilize people from all different viewpoints, all different organizations, and I really urge you to come out to the meeting today at 3 o'clock at Pilgrim Church with Refuse Fascism, so that we can be a much larger coalition and a much larger effort to be able to say, we are not going to stand for this. Trump can out now.
St. Paul's Church.
What?
St. Paul's.
St. Paul's Church. Give me the address.
4427 Franklin.
4427 Franklin. And
of
truly,
West
everyone is not only welcome, but really needs to be there so that all these voices can come together to make further plans.
Hello everyone, my name is Carlos, and I'm not really part of an organization, but I do host a podcast dedicated to diversity and inclusion. It's called Race to the Finish. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I woke up one morning to the news that we're all here for, the tragedy that just happened, and I connect with it very, very, very deeply, but from a different perspective. So I'm born of 2 immigrants. I am a first-generation American, but I only know what my parents have gone through coming from El Salvador. They're here because of direct U.S. intervention in Central America. And so when I see things like this on the news, it only fires me up to get back to organizing, being involved with the community and all of that. But as a younger person, being only 24 years old, I get faced by the older folks, but shout outs to all the older folks who are organizing out here, seriously. But there are a whole group of folks that look down to me and say, my words don't matter, my presence don't matter. But it does. And organizing and spreading the word, educating one another, but through radical means, through community and accessible means, really do make a difference. I'm here, I'm only one person, but my whole class, they aren't here either, but they will be here in the future because my presence does matter. My words do matter. So what I would encourage every single one of you who do not have a global perspective, recognize that this protest right here is only the start. It's not the end. Because there are younger folks in other countries who are protesting from a means where they're taking the streets, where they're honestly, using violent means, honestly, because that's what they have at their hands, right? But we have to recognize our own privilege being here in the United States, that we got it good. With that being said, that only means we have to try harder. Someone once told me is that if you really believe in a cause, working at 100% is not good enough. You have to work at 150%. So with this being in such an urgent matter, we need to work at 200%. So that's what I got.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
For everybody who's filming this or wherever this will reach, I want everybody to know this. My name is Ian Anderson, not the son of the singer of Jethro Tull.
Right, that's what I thought.
I know everybody says that. I am a proud son of immigrants as well, but not from this area that we're speaking of today. However, I'm also son of unionists, of activists, workers, blue-collar people. From my earliest days, I was a punk. I was 8 years old, talking about the man without even knowing who the man was. And it is carried on into my current life right now. I am an author, an academic, publisher, and for a long time I played in a punk band, metal band, touring around the Ohio, Northeast United States area, singing songs about brutality and everything, but I had one specific song that I dedicated towards all of the, what we call the Nazi Trumps. Fuck off, first off. Nazi punks, fuck off. So I'm gonna read here some of the lyrics from this song that got me in trouble for a little bit, that I sang on tour. So here we go. I want everybody to hear this and think of it loud and proud. You want to change society? We want to change society. What do you think that way will be? Violent or peaceful protest, either way, civil unrest. Run fast, try to hide. Innocent kids are bound to die. Watch your backs, what you've done, because our words are stronger than your guns. We're the ones who rule, and you can't stop us, you fucking fools. Fuck your sexist politicians. Fuck your racist establishments. Here's the mic to the next person. All right. One more time. Nazi punks, fuck off!
Okay. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, each and every one of you, for coming out today. And I think that it is time that we all learn to love all nations. Because the people of all nations are like we are, that they want to be loved, and they want to be cared for, and they want good jobs, and they want health care. And what has happened is that we have this president who wants us to hate people of other ethnic backgrounds and other nations. But we all have assembled here to say no to that and to say yes to love. And to say yes to peace. And in the face of World War III, we say that our love can stop World War III because it is imperative for the continuation of this human race to let our love shine brightly to all people, no matter who they are, so that we can eventually live in a world where we can put an end to war, we can put an end to poverty, we can put an end to all of this stinginess and this fat cat money grabbing system foists upon us. So I thank you one and all for coming, and let's keep on keeping on. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernie. Before you go, before you go, we have just another woman that I did invite to speak before the volunteer speakers came up. But Genevieve, you would like to make a statement? Genevieve Mitchell again.
God bless all of you for coming out. We are in perilous times. We are in a serious predicament here. And you are interfering with the military-industrial complex today. My suggestion to you is to interfere. Yes. You must interfere at this juncture while you have the time, because we could be next. We cannot continue to go and police the entire world and impose our authority on the rest of the foreigners, the Arabs and the Indians and the South Americans.
We have been involved and engaged in every conflict around the world to our utter destruction, which will be imminent if we continue to do this. We cannot continue this way. We have people sleeping in the streets.
Yes.
We have people who do not have food.
Yes.
We have people who cannot find work.
Yes.
And it is unacceptable. So my suggestion to you today, those of you who are out here making problems for the military-industrial complex, continue to interfere.
I think we have 2 more that would like to speak. Is that right? 3 more, actually. Come. Yes, and Greg will be the last speaker. Come on up, please. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Tom. I'm going to keep this as short as I can, but the main reason I'm out here today is I'm 20 years old, and I've never in my waking memories can I remember a time of peace. I remember growing up being fed lies that our freedoms are being protected, as if anyone wakes up one day and decides that they're going to commit violence because they hate freedom, because they want Americans not to be free. It's all lies. It's propaganda. If you hear any of this from any conservative friends or family members that you might have, don't take it lying down. Don't be polite and not talk about it. These are the conversations we need to have with your family, with anyone you might know, with anyone who might come up to you and try to push the propaganda to you. It's not true. Don't let them say it to you. Keep having these conversations. Keep informing anyone and everyone, whether they want to hear you or not. Also, I don't want to live in a country anymore that completely, consistently violates human rights, violates people's self-determination. Every time I hear about a country across the world that wants to stand up on its own 2 feet without bending the knee to Western powers, every time we overthrow their government or we invade. Every time some nation wants to nationalize their resources, they magically have a coup d'etat, and then the new leader loves America somehow. I wonder how it all works out. I wonder who benefits. It's always the rich people. It's never us. It's always the people who hold stakes, always the people who trade in these goods. It's never us. It's never you and me. It's always for the people in power with money. They love war, and they want you to love it too. Don't let them get in your mind. Don't let them get in anyone's. Thank you.
It's true about that coup thing. There's actually a secret department in the Washington, D.C. if you need a coup for your big business, that they will arrange it through the CIA. I just found out about that through Margaret Flowers and Popular Resistance.
Hi everyone, my name is Ayat, and I'm an Iraqi American. I was born here, but my parents are from Iraq, and that's a big part of why I'm here today. So, my whole life when I said I'm Iraqi American, the only thing people associate with Iraq is war. And in 2 weeks, I had a plane ticket to go to Iraq to go see my cousins for the first time, because finally it looked like during my lifetime there would be enough peace that I could see them. And then this happened. And it's just another narrative of heartbreak, that there's always a human capital with war, right?
Right.
And we sometimes don't realize, especially in America, how our livelihoods here can hurt prosperities abroad, and that it's all interconnected. So I just, because it's Iraq, because it's Iran, I just want to share my personal story for why I'm here today. But you already know war is bad. Let's
Well, good afternoon. My name is Greg Coleridge. I'm with Move to Amend, which is the outfit trying to amend the Constitution to end corporate constitutional rights and get big money out of elections via constitutional amendments. My message is actually quite simple and quite clear. First of all, let's give thanks to Cleveland Peace Action for putting on this event. They and the other organizations that co-sponsored, who had representatives speak today, and to all of you are to be commended to being out here on this, let's face it, crappy day. So thanks to all of them thanks to all of you, thanks to all of us. And it is that last word, us, that is so important. Because ultimately, what we are trying to do is not so much direct our energies at the government, the military, corporations, politicians, the Supreme Court, lobbyists, any of them. Yeah, they are part of the problem, no question. And in many cases it goes back for a very long time, to day one in fact, when we had never had a system of authentic real democracy in which from the beginning only white male property owners were real people. The rest of us were 3/5 of a person. If you were a native person, you were a beast. If you were a woman, well, you were just what? Part of a man, or rib, or whatever other body part we're talking about. But the point is, ultimately, it's none of those who our energy should be directed to. It's us. It's those of us here today, but more importantly, those of us that aren't here, that you know, that are your friends, that are your neighbors, that are those who have been hoodwinked, who are buying into the popular culture that all is right, that all we have to do is vote for either wing of the bird of prey political party. That all we have to do is just leave it to the experts. That all we have to do is just simply believe that we're not strong enough, we're not powerful enough, we're not smart enough to bring any kind of significant change. And that's why we have to leave it to the experts. And that when we do take action, it's minuscule, and it is forever and ever reacting, responding, and resisting. Which reacting, responding, and resisting is extremely important. But if all we do, my friends, is respond, react, and resist, we will forever and ever be on the defense. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of constantly, forever and ever, being on the defense, trying to protect what little we have left, that constantly is being taken away, that only for the most part we have because people in the past were on the friggin' offense, took charge, not just opposed, but proposed. And they proposed by coming together and forming movements that not only reacted, responded, and resisted, but took charge to say that we do know more than those with the degrees, those who are the politicians, those who are in the mainstream media, those who are the corporate boardroom heads, that we are the ones that literally we've been waiting for. So I simply conclude by saying, in this time of where we are facing multiple crises, economic, foreign policy, ecological, military, political, constitutional, social, take your pick, that the response to that is yes, in part, to resist, to do what we are doing today and doing more of it, and to do it in a way that gums up the friggin' system so that they can't continue to oppress. But at the same time, part of our quest is to go on the offensive, to form movements and to do what we can where we are to, number one, create alternative structures where we are, where we can put our fingerprints on those things that we can control in our own community. But just as important, number two, to focus on the macro, the structural, the institutional, to not only resist the bad policies and the bad politicians, but to create a new world order. We've heard that before. But one that is peaceful, that is democratic, that is just, that is not violent, and for the very first time isn't trying to reclaim what is right and just, but to claim for the freaking authentic, first time, real democracy and real justice. So let's go at it together.
Thank you, Greg Coleridge, who started a group called NOAC way back when we had tried to stop the foot attack on Iraq. But back in 1991, when Bush Sr. started an attack on Iraq when he invaded Kuwait. Well, let's see. We wanted to get Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait, I guess it was. So long ago, the history. You know, it's terrible. We learn our geography from where we have our wars. So I first heard about Iraq back in 91, and that's when we were protesting George Bush I's movement against Iraq then. Now my friend here, Cheryl Lesson, was in the trenches with me then, and she was the one who set the flag on fire, the U.S. flag, to say, no, we are not supporting this war. And of course, she'll tell you what happened after that briefly. Then we're going to close up with one more brief announcement, and then thank you.
Hi, yeah, I am with Refute Fascism. And in 1990, I stood in front of Howard City and burned a flag. The night before, the U.S. sent 150,000 troops to attack Iraq. Many people mobilized all across the country to fight to stop that war. We did not stop it. And we're seeing the results today in many directions. But what we're facing today is far graver than what we faced in 1990. Because we do, in fact, have a fascist in the White House. And when we take up today, standing up against the assassination of a head of state, a leader of state in another country, and Trump speaking to his fascist thugs in Miami 2 days later, saying, we have God on our side, we have to recognize what we're up against, and we have to recognize that we cannot stop until this time we do win. And there's a way to do that. Refuse Fascism has initiated the Out Now movement exactly to do that. To bring everybody with a conscience, no matter what else you think, into the streets, over and over, and stay in the streets just like people are doing all over the world, but to drive out the most dangerous government in the world, and to stay until they're gone. So I just want to say, and I want you to say it with me, Puerto Rico showed us how. Trump and Pence, out now. Puerto Rico showed us how. Trump and Pence, out now. Puerto Rico showed us how. Trump and Pence, out now. And join us at 3 o'clock at the community church.
Thank you, Cheryl. One last announcement before we head off today. On Tuesday, January 14th, we will be meeting across the street with Cleveland Peace Action's Peace at the Pub over at Market Garden Brewery at 7 p.m. for a very good topic called Feminist. Why war is a feminist issue? Why peace is a feminist issue, is right. Why peace is a feminist issue. And Megan, one of our board members, Megan Donovan, will lead that discussion, and we will be at Market Garden Brewery, 7 p.m., Tuesday the 14th. Right on? Don't forget to call your representatives and resist. Thank you so much for coming out today. Love you all.